What the going on this team, Jerry?
Bury him! Bury him!
Jerry, TJ Watt.
He is the best defensive player on the planet.
Go! Yes! Yes! We're going to fire! Steelers fans! Bang! Run it down their throat!
No! That's not a penalty!
Game over! Game over! Don't ask me to do nothing! This is nothing!
He's aggressive.
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Steel Here podcast, where I'm your host, Kevin Adams, alongside my partner in crime jersey, Jerry. Jerry Don, it is week 10 of the NFL season. The Pittsburgh Steelers sit at 6-2. We have the Washington Commanders this weekend in D.C., but Omar Khan was not sleeping at the trade deadline, Jerry Don. We are recording on Thursday. The trade deadline was Tuesday at 4 p.m. Omar Khan goes out and he adds Mike Williams for a 5th-round pick, wide receiver, and he adds pass rusher Preston Smith from the Green Bay Packers for a 7th-round pick. Do either of those trades move the needle for you, Jerry?
You know what? A little bit. Not too much, but a little bit, I'd say. Who knows? Maybe Mike Williams has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, in the media, he's been bashed a little bit for his play with Aaron Rodgers. Seemed like Aaron Rodgers, a couple facial expressions, hands waving in the air when Mike Williams dropped a pass. Mike Williams probably not super happy to be there. Probably happy to be going to a 6-2 football team. And you know what? He's probably looking to prove some people wrong. So that's where the needle moves a little bit up for me. Preston Smith, I would say, good depth, really good depth piece. Oh, yeah. They needed it there, in case Highsmith or TJ goes down. Seems like he's still got a little something left in the tank, I'd say. So I like that move. Omar was not sleeping at the deadline, which is good. Would I have loved the splash like DK? Yeah, definitely. But we're not going to get that this year, and that's okay because I still feel like this team can still compete.
Agreed. I think that Mike Williams, prior to the season, Mike Williams was a guy that the Steelers had brought in prior to him going to the Jets. Okay, we have been begging for a wide receiver. We needed somebody else opposite of George Pickens. Now Calvin Austin has been coming on strong of late. Van Jefferson, while he had a good game against the Giants, I think we both agree that that's not exactly the guy we want in the wide receiver 2 position. Mike Williams, his skill set is interesting for what the Steelers do. He's actually a great fit. He's a big body. He runs a very similar style of skill set as George Pickens does. Now, I think George Pickens is infinitely more talented than Mike Williams would be, but Mike Williams has speed, and he runs a great deep ball route, and what is Russell Wilson still very good at, Jerry?
Deep ball, yeah.
He throws a great moon ball still. And so now you have it. So one side of the field, you're going to have George Pickens. He runs a great deep route. Your other side of the field, you have Mike Williams running the same thing. It should open up the offense on some underneath routes. Calvin Austin should be able to play out of the slot pretty successfully now. Should help Pat Freiermuth underneath as far as those things are concerned. But what it does is it adds a big body outside that can block, and it basically forces defenses to say, okay, look, if we're afraid of Russell Wilson beating us deep, who are we going to double? Are we going to double George Pickens? Because if that is the case, Mike Williams can beat you over the top. Are we going to double Mike Williams? Because George Pickens can beat you in many ways if that is the case. I like the trade. I wanted a bigger splash, no doubt about it. But I think for the price, a 5th-round pick, maybe a little bit of an overpay. I think that's my only issue with it is it feels like it could be an overpay, especially when DeAndre Hopkins went for, was it also a 5th-round pick, I'm pretty sure?
Yeah, 5th rounder, yeah.
So that one stings. But all in all, I loved adding Mike Williams to the roster. We got a wide receiver. We wanted one. We got a wide receiver. Now let's see. Maybe he can be rejuvenated, has the little chip on his shoulder because it felt like the Jets just pushed him to the side. You said it. Aaron Rodgers probably threw him under the bus a little bit. Didn't exactly feel like they had chemistry together. And so it feels as though that could be a guy who comes here, has a rejuvenated season, and that could be a nice add.
I'm expecting him to play.
Oh, yeah, he'll play. No doubt about it. Axel.
No, I mean, I know that. I'm saying I'm expecting him to play a significant amount.
Oh, yeah, no, Jerry, I think immediately he's going to get in there and be able to play.
I think so.
And here's the thing. You have a game this weekend which is going to be massive for our offense because the Commanders score. Jerry, the Commanders put up points in fucking bunches. So you're going to have to score some points unless the defense has a banner day. But you add a guy like Preston Smith for a 7th-round pick, which I don't give a shit about 7th-round picks personally. If you can add a guy who's immediately going to contribute, I find him to be a great depth piece. Now, is he 2019 Preston Smith who's going to have 12 sacks for you? No. But this guy has 68.5 career sacks. Last year he only has 4 this year, but last year he had 8. The year before he had 10. This is a guy who knows how to get after the passer, and you add him to a rotation where you already have the best pass rusher in football with TJ Watt. You have a very high-end pass rusher in Alex Smith. You're going to get a healthy Nick Herbig back, and now you have a 4-headed monster at that rotation where tackles are not going to get a break. The Steelers beefed up a spot where, say you lose Highsmith for an extended clip again, or you lose Herbig for an extended clip, you would think that hopefully he comes back 100%, but you can't go into what it looked like when it was just TJ and we had a couple of scrubs on the other side of the field. Now you have the depth to really get after the passer down the stretch, which is how the Steelers' defense is designed to run. It's rushing the passer. We've seen how many years, if you want to beat an elite quarterback, you got to put him on his ass. I thought the Preston Smith addition might have been better than the Mike Williams addition.
Yeah, definitely was solid for sure, and I'm happy these last couple of years we've been making some moves at the deadline, which is awesome, and at least they showed us, hey, we're not going to just settle for the team we have now. So that shows that, they're going for this thing,
Right.
And also Russell Wilson's got to be happy as well. I know he's been thriving and whatnot, but it's just another piece for him on the offensive side of the ball, so he's got to be happy. I'm looking forward to that chemistry.
Oh, yeah.
The Roman Wilson is most likely, do you think he's going to come back after that? Doesn't matter,
think
right?
he's probably done this year. Maybe he plays a little bit towards the end, but I have very, very low hopes. Not that I don't think he is a good football player or can't be a good football player. It just feels like this is going to be a redshirt season for him.
I think so, too. Yeah, I think he's going to probably get off the IR and just going to be healthy scratches. I don't think he's going to play really much, if not at all this year. But going to the defensive side of the ball, great depth now. And you look at the depth all around now, and it's, that spot was definitely weak.
Yeah.
But now everywhere has depth, especially with Cam Sutton coming back now.
Yep.
So you look at that defense, and it's like, if one guy goes down now, in prior years, a guy goes down there and like, okay, well, pretty much that's the season.
Yep.
Now nobody's rooting for it, and you don't want to see anybody get hurt, knock on wood. But somebody goes down, it's not like, maybe TJ, but other than that, somebody goes down, it's like, okay, the season's not over, so that's good.
That's massive. I think that's the biggest thing for the team this season is that they have so much depth because these last 9 games we know are going to be difficult. The Bengals looks like they're turning their season around. While they look like they could be dead, they're not entirely dead yet. They're still going to be a hard team to beat. The Browns divisional game, while they also look like complete shit, I don't think that's going to be a walk in the park. You have the Ravens twice. Mm-hmm. You're going to need some depth. That's a battle of attrition as you walk through the last 9 games here. I think the additions that the Steelers made at the trade deadline, at least they signal, look, we are all in on this fucking thing. Like, we're trying to add pieces. We are going for it this season. And I heard Freiermuth. This is Freiermuth's quote. He said, "We know we have to win playoff games. That was our goal coming into the year. Anytime the front office can add pieces like this that can help us win, it's obviously cool. But we knew from the start we were all in to go to win this thing." I think whenever everybody believes that it is about fucking making the playoffs, winning playoff games, and getting back to greatness, that is the mindset you have to have. I don't just want to go, hey, let's make the playoffs. Like, while I get it, I don't want to just say, hey, let's make the playoffs, let's win a playoff game. The bar needs to be at the very top. I think adding these 2 guys at the deadline signifies that they are going to try and make a run this season.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely should be the goal. And you know what? I think that is the goal, for a lot of those guys on that football team, if not everybody.
Yep.
It seems different this year. It just does. There's something about it. The way they celebrate turnovers, the way they celebrate together with touchdowns. Prior years, guys would score touchdowns and some of the team wouldn't even get off the bench. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This year, we witnessed it live because we've been to the game, a couple weeks ago. But the celebrations seem different. The way guys are joking around in the locker room. I don't know if you've seen Fajoko's story about Patrick Queen stealing his watch, making fun of it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that stuff just feels different. The locker room feels different this year. Dude, sky is the limit, and you know what? We'll transition to the Washington game, but I will say this, dude. This is a game here where it's going to tell you a lot about this football team on both sides, not just the Steelers, but the Commanders as well. They haven't really played great teams. You know what I mean? Both sides. We haven't played great teams. Neither have they. But the records are great, and that's what good and great teams should do, is they should beat other teams. So this game here is going to tell a lot on both sides. Obviously, I think the Steelers get it done, but the way to beat this team is you got to put pressure on this guy, man. He can't just sit back there. You have to seal off the edges as well. He can beat you so many ways. The thing I'm worried about is you've seen him do it a lot this year. They get the ball out of his hands so quick, and we know the Steelers struggle with that because they need a pass rush, the Steelers. This way the Steelers beat you is with their pass rush. And the problem with that is Jayden Daniels gets rid of the ball so fast. And the Steelers have been struggling with that this year. So they got to scheme up a game plan to beat this guy. They got to stop him. They got to put the pressure on. They can't be sitting back 10, 12 yards on these receivers. They got to press. They got to get up there. And they got to tackle, man. You know, he breaks a lot of tackles. Eckler is breaking a lot of tackles. So is Brian Robinson. They run the ball good. Their offense does everything good. Their defense is a little weak. So we got to expose them there. But on the defensive side of the ball, we have to play a really solid game.
I think one of the most interesting things you're going to see out of this game is the Pittsburgh Steelers record with Mike Tomlin as the head coach coming out of the bye. They are 13-4 all time. Okay, 13-4 all time. Mike Tomlin is 26-6 against rookie quarterbacks. He's 2-2 in the last 4 games. Okay, so 2-2 the last 4. I can remember a loss to C.J. Stroud last year where they whooped our ass. You know, I think Jayden Daniels, I would put him in the same type of category as a C.J. Stroud. I think he's a superstar, no doubt about it. I think he definitely is a guy that can win a game. So you're going to get the Steelers, who normally, historically, are great out of the bye and great against rookies and well rested and about as healthy as you can be. You're going to get Zach Frazier back, at center. This is going to be a game that's very telling. This will be a game where I think it sets the tone for the second half of the season. Now, say they go out and they beat them on the road. I'm going to be very, very high on that type of win, Jerry, because how can you say that the Commanders aren't a good football team? You can't say it.
No. No. You definitely can't say that. The way that their offense is playing, the amount of points they're putting up, the amount of yards they're getting a game, their ability to run the ball really good. You just can't say they're not a good team. This will be a very, very big game. I mean, Vegas has the Steelers at underdogs, 3-point underdogs.
3-point dogs.
And Tomlin as a dog, man. I would never take the opposing team, man. Tomlin just finds ways to win. He wins these. I think it's going to be a close game. I do. I think it'll be a close game, but Tomlin finds ways to win these games when he's like 1 to 4-point underdogs. He just wins those games.
Yep. Any game that ends, 6 points or less, usually the Steelers come out on the winning end of those. That's the type of team that they gut it out, they grind it out. That's historically for the last 4 or 5 years, that's what they've done. They've won the tight games. They have the best record in football if it's less than a 1-score game. So all of those things to their benefit, the 13-4 out of the bye week, the 26-6 against rookies, I think it would be crazy to choose against the Steelers this weekend, even though this is the toughest test that they will have had so far this season. Jayden Daniels, the biggest thing that scares me is the Steelers' run defense has been suspect lately, man. It was suspect against the Giants, against the Jets. We got beat up on the ground. We're getting beat up on the ground. Cowboys, they beat us on the ground, and they were not healthy across the offensive line. I have worries about that because when you look at what Jayden Daniels does, he has the most rushing yards as a scrambler this season at 327, and he's picked up 17 first downs. We've only allowed 15 yards and 1 first down on scrambles all season. That is a great statistic. So something has to break here. Either they're going to beat us or our defense is going to stand strong. Some stats that are a little alarming to me. The Commanders have the 3rd overall offense. So this is, without a doubt, the best offensive team that we will have faced so far this season.
Yep.
They average 392 yards per game. They're 11th in passing at 228 yards per game. They're 3rd in rushing at 164 rushing yards per game. And they average 29.2 points per game.
It's a lot.
It's an
a lot.
offensive
Good
juggernaut,
offense.
Jerry. This is an offensive juggernaut. Their defense, I think, is where it's a little bit suspect. Overall,
Yep.
14th. The Steelers overall are the second defense in football. They give up 143 rushing yards per game, which is 29th in football.
Wow.
Our offense has to beat them on the ground. I think if we set it up where we can gash them on the ground, it's going to open up Russ to really beat them through the air. And I think that that's going to have to be the recipe. You lead with the run game, the play action game, and then you beat them over the top from there. And if the Steelers end up losing this game, it will be because they could not contain Jayden Daniels. But how often do we struggle to contain a running quarterback? Look at what we do to Lamar.
Yeah, no, it's accurate. I mean, that's exactly. I was on a show earlier today, recording with Ron Rivera, former coach of the Commanders.
Yeah.
He had a bunch to say about the Steelers in this game, and it seemed like while he couldn't give a pick out, he was leaning the Steelers' way. He just said with the way the Steelers, what they're doing this year, and their ability to throw the ball deep, and their ability to run the ball really good. The Commanders' defense is not that great. It really isn't. So what he said is, if the Steelers are able to run the ball and get those splash plays on offense, especially early on in the game, he said the way the defense plays, when the defense plays with a lead, which is accurate with the Steelers' defense, they play amazing when they have a lead.
Yep.
They play really fucking good when they have a lead. So he brought that up. He said the game could get ugly. He said he could see the Steelers going out there, starting fast, putting up a couple touchdowns, and it's that shock moment that Jayden Daniels has yet to have this year,
right,
where it's like, oh shit, wow, okay, we just got punched in the mouth. How does he react? You know what I mean? He's a rookie. How does he react against? Now he's going against the best defense he has played all year.
Right.
We're going up against the best offense. If we start fast, I feel like whoever starts this game fast is probably going to win this game.
That's why I think that's crucial for us, because we still haven't started fast. You go back to the Giants game, the last game the Steelers play, while they score 9 points on their first 3 possessions, they're not punching the ball in the end zone. That to me has got to be the biggest fucking thing that they improve on after the bye week here, is finishing drives inside the red zone. You quite simply have got to finish those drives against these teams that have the ability to put up buckets on you. So that is 100% what I'm going to be the most interested in seeing. Can the Steelers start fast, and then can they finish the drives in the red zone? Because I think I agree with Ron Rivera. I agree with you saying it, that if they can do that, it's going to make it very difficult for him. He's going to have to then read the defense. He's going to have to sit in the pocket, and you can't just automatically run around and use his legs. You would think that he's going to have to throw the ball downfield, which he's a very able passer. But is he a very able passer whenever the pass rush is breathing down his neck and he can't get rid of the ball in under 2 seconds, like you alluded to earlier? That's what it's going to come down to. Are we going to get after him in the pass rush, and can the secondary hold up just long enough to let the pass rush get home?
Yeah, those are all the keys to the game, man. Those are all the keys to this game. Is how much of Cam Sutton do you think we're going to see?
I would imagine a pretty fair amount, actually.
Really?
I think Beanie
Okay.
Bishop starts. I think Beanie Bishop definitely starts, but I think they'll, at a minimum, I would say 50-50. I think you're going to get a 50-50 game out of Cam Sutton and Beanie Bishop split. Ultimately, I think it will side more with Cam Sutton just because they trust him more. He's a veteran. There's just so much more I think they can do with him in the slot than Beanie Bishop. You don't have to worry about maybe Minka, or Deshaun Elliott shadowing whoever Beanie Bishop has, because I think that they're confident that Cam Sutton can handle it a little bit better from a one-on-one standpoint. I think the defense is going to get a very big boost with Cam Sutton out there just because of experience alone.
I do too, and it's very interesting what Tomlin said in his press conference. I seen a clip, and now I don't remember it word for word, but a reporter asked him something about, how much playing time is he going to get? Is this going to take away from other guys playing time on the defense? And he pretty much said, in other words, not just Beanie Bishop should be concerned, but other guys should be concerned with their playing time as well, now that we got Cam Sutton back. So who knows? Could we see, him take over some snaps from Minka, or, definitely Beanie for sure, but Deshaun Elliott, you don't know what you're going to get.
Dante Jackson, possibly. I think you would see maybe Dante Jackson lose some snaps.
Because he's very versatile. He can play outside. He can play inside. So, we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, definitely defense should get a big boost there.
What, Jerry? What's your confidence level in this one? Like, where are you at with gun to your head? Gun to your head.
Genuinely, I would say around a 7.5, 8 of winning this game at a 10. I would say about 80%. I would say confidence level we win this game, and it's nothing against the Commanders. I think they're a really good team. I do, and I think they're gonna go to the playoffs and possibly steal a playoff game, which they haven't done in quite some years. So this is nothing against them. I just think our roster is better than theirs, and I just think we have right now the smarter quarterback.
Agreed.
And people will say, "Oh, you're crazy. Look at Jayden Daniels' numbers." Okay, yes, he's having a better year than Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson played a handful of games. I just think Jayden Daniels is going to make some mistakes this game. I do, and I think it's just because he has yet to play a defense like this.
Yep.
He has yet to have a TJ Watt on the field breathing down his neck, Highsmith on the other side, Minka Rome in the middle of the field, Deshaun Elliott, a guy who's going to be a Pro Bowler, able to come to the line of scrimmage and make tackles. You know what I mean? I would guess they should use Deshaun Elliott as that spy guy on him. They really should. I think that's a smart thing. He's a sure-handed tackler on most days. Peyton Wilson, sure-handed tackler pretty much every fucking game. Queen has been stepping up. Cam Hayward's having a phenomenal fucking year. Listen, I think the Steelers beat them by more than 6. I think they beat them by more than 6, a touchdown. I do.
Wow, you think we could whoop the shit out of them?
Yeah, maybe not whoop. I think it'll be close, but I think it's pretty much between a 7 and 10 point game. And I think it'll be relatively close. I don't think we're gonna win by a field goal. I think we're gonna win by more than that. I would say 26-20 type of game, something like that, 27-20, somewhere around there.
These are the Commanders. So for everybody that criticizes the Steelers, who have they beat? This is the Commanders. This is who they've beaten so far. Week 1, they got their dicks beat in by the Buccaneers, 37-20. Okay, and
which week ones I really just don't count those games,
right?
Because
that's rookie's first start. There's so many variables in there, and also I think the Bucs are a decent football team too. So Baker Mayfield's playing good football. He's a veteran quarterback and read a defense. So you're looking at a decent game there, but you can throw it out. They just edged out the Giants week 2, beat them by a field goal. That's a divisional game, so it is what it is. Week 3, they put up 38 on the Bengals. They beat them 38-33. Okay, The Bengals defense, we know it sucks. Bengals defense is terrible. Now, they did put up 33 points on them, though, so you got to look at that. Their defense is susceptible to giving up big numbers. Week 4, they put up 42 on the Cardinals. That's another football team that's just not very good. 42-14, they beat them. Then they go on to put up 34 against the Browns. That's a terrible football team, 34-13. They lose to the Ravens by a touchdown, 23-30. And then they pound the Panthers 40-7. They just eke out a win over the Detroit or the Chicago Bears. That's a Hail Mary game.
Hail Mary.
So they win by a field goal there. And then they beat the Giants by 5 points. So really, there's not one of those games where you're like, damn, that's a very good football team that they beat.
Yeah, no, the only thing you could say is they held their own against the Ravens.
Right. And so, you put up 23 against the Ravens, who I believe has a very overrated defense myself.
I think they're overrated as well. I think their defense is overrated. Now, while I think their offense is probably, if not the best in the NFL, I think their defense is a little overrated. I think you could do some things on the Ravens' defense.
No doubt about it. And you said it, and it's why I think that the Steelers win Sunday. So if we're doing predictions, that's why I think the Steelers win is because of Russell Wilson. I think he's had the bye week going into, so he's had 2 weeks to prepare for the Commanders. Okay, and he finally has 2 games under his belt. He then gets to sit back, watch film, see what he can see on film through his 2 starts. He comes out of the bye week having 2 weeks to prepare for the Commanders' defense. I think the Steelers' defense has had 2 weeks to prepare for Jayden Daniels, prepare for that. I'm sure Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin will have a scheme ready to keep him inside the pocket, make sure he's not going to beat you on the ground with his legs. I think the Steelers do win. I think it's a very close game, maybe a field goal game for sure. I think that they do win. But that's what it's going to come down to for me. I think Russell Wilson is going to be the difference maker yet again, just because veteran quarterback, and he's had time to now look back and see, what can we do on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah, and Ron Rivera made a great point as well. With Arthur Smith's scheme, it's pretty much the perfect scheme for Russell Wilson.
Yep.
You have a good running back.
Yep.
who's going to get yards with between him and Warren is going to get yards on the ground, and Cordell Patterson. So you're going to rush for a good amount of yards because Ron Rivera still believes in running the football. We do a great job of that. Arthur Smith loves running the football. Not only that, Russell Wilson throughout his career loves the play action.
Yep.
And it seems, over these last couple of weeks, when I'm watching a game, I see about 8 to 12 play actions a game, which is great. I love it. But he said something about Russell Wilson. He's one of those quarterbacks in the NFL that's not scared to run play action. That doesn't just – because your back's to the defense, you know what I mean, when you're running it. It's not like he's coming up like some of these quarterbacks and it's like, okay, where's the safety? Where's the safety? A guy like Russ is going to know where they're at all times, So this scheme is set up perfectly for Russell Wilson, and Ron Rivera said that's why he's flourishing.
And we originally when we signed Russ, this is what we said. Russ does his best when he has a strong run game and it's play action. What's the Super Bowl that he won with Seattle? He played in 2 Super Bowls with Seattle. The one they lose to the Patriots, you can blame that on Pete Carroll throwing at the goal line. So he should have 2 Super Bowl championships to his name. That's how he did it, was play action. Russell Wilson, this is the best fit for him. That's why I think this is going to be the second half of this season. I think that you're really going to see the Steelers offense start to come to a higher level. Right now they only average 23.4 points per game. So that's not really an incredible number. It's better than it's been in years past for sure. I love that number compared to what we've had in years past. However, I think they can get to a much higher number. They've averaged the last 3 games now. They're looking at averaging somewhere around 27 points per game, which is a very good number to look at. I think Russ, the second half of the season, is going to have the ability to do that. And I think it starts Sunday in Washington. I really do think they put up 30 on Sunday in Washington.
I would love it, man. I would love it. And imagine the confidence this team would have, winning a football game like this on the road in Washington.
Yep.
And now, they win this game. It's like, okay, now what's the media going to say now?
Yep.
What do you got to say now? We're fucking 7-2. We're handling business week in, week out. We're holding teams to 14, 15 points a game. I would love for them to hold this team to under 17 points.
Oh, it'd be a
my
statement.
God.
Imagine the statement that would be,
That would
Jerry.
be a massive statement if they could hold it. I don't know if they will, but if they did, it would be a statement to the league like, hey, man, our defense is just as good as anybody in the NFL, if not the best, which I think they are. And I think they could be. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Later in the year. I think right now, top 5 for sure, no doubt about it. But the more this defense gels together throughout the year, I think they'll finish 1 or 2.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, right now in scoring, which is ultimately the most important thing, they're number 2 in scoring. They have up 14.9 points per game. They're number 2
Who's
in
number
scoring.
1 right now?
Chargers. Chargers are only giving up 12.8 or something. I mean,
my gosh, wow.
They're having a historic season. But I mean, Jerry, less than 15 points in today's NFL, that's a rock star defense. Now, that number's going to go up the second half. That number will definitely go up the second half because you're going to play the best offenses in football the second half. And so that number is surely going to go up. But I still see them averaging less than 18 points per game. I still think that the Steelers will have given up less than 18 points per game in totality as far as the defense is concerned. Let's look at let's get into the betting. Let's recap. So Giants game, Jerry had 3 bets, and in those bets, Jerry took Steelers to cover 6.5. That bet hits, so Jerry cashes that bet. He also took Jaylen Warren anytime touchdown. That did not hit.
Nope.
He took Jaylen Warren over rushing and receiving combined. What do you think that line ended up being, Jerry?
I don't know, 51, 52?
It was 61.5.
Oh,
and
wow.
He finished with 59.
Oh, God.
He
Jeez.
missed it by.
Was it really that high?
Yeah. It was,
Wow.
well, I mean, their defense is not that good, so that's,
Shit.
Yeah, it was high. So Jerry went 1-2 on the day. I took, of my 2 bets, the Steelers over 10.5 first half points, which is absolutely mind-blowing. They had 3 red zone drives and didn't score a touchdown. They ended up with 9. I didn't hit that. I also took the Steelers as the first team to hit 20 points, so I went 1-1 on the J. Jerry went 1-2. On the season, I am 4-6. Jerry is 6-6. We're both back to just 1 bet this week. The Steelers are dogs at plus 124. They're getting 3 points. The over-under is 45 on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Jerry Dunn, what is your bet of the week?
My bet of the week is going to be, now I don't know what the odds are, but the odds are, let's see. Oh, I might be able to actually get it. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's at plus 100. Jayden Daniels to throw an interception.
Plus 100, Jayden Daniels to throw an interception.
Yeah, I think he turns the ball over this game.
That's a good bet, especially if it plays out the way that we think it's going to play out, where the Steelers can start faster, it becomes a shootout. You would think that they might force him to make a forced play. That's a good bet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the Steelers getting 3. I just think that's a number that I'm comfortable seeing. I'm going to take the 3 points. While I think they beat them outright, if I'm going to get the 3 at minus 110, I'm going to take the 3.
Yeah.
It's give me the points on that end. Predictions for the game score, I think it is 30-24. The Steelers win 30-24.
Okay, I'm going to go 27-20 Steelers.
27-20. Jerry, I think if the Steelers, either of those scores come to fruition, that is going into the second half of the season at 7-2. And then you start to get into the meat of your schedule. Hard Knocks is going to start to be recorded then here in 2 weeks. So if you're a Hard Knocks fan on HBO, that's going to be absolutely electric. They're following the entire AFC North. So you're going to get to see some behind the scenes looks at how the Steelers handle business. 7-2.
So it'll be nothing recorded before, right?
Correct. Yeah, nothing before. They don't start recording until next week, actually.
Gotcha. Okay. Got it.
That's going to be very fun to see. Jerry Don, I will be there. I will be in Washington. I'm throwing a mini Terrible Tailgate. You can find the information on terribletailgate.com, on my Twitter, Instagram, any of the socials you find as far as that's concerned. You will find it. I'm only going to bring a small amount of food, so hot dogs, but it's going to be all you can drink still. Garage beer. I don't know if you're familiar with what garage beer is, Jerry. It's the Kelsey's beer.
Oh, wow.
They started their own beer line. So they're sponsoring the tailgate, actually. They're supplying us with 30 cases of garage beer. So it is only $15. You guys want to stop? I have 3 parking passes. Stop over. It's in the red zone lot. We're going to throw a banger for you. It's going to be a great day. And then, Jerry, you and I will record then Sunday night after the game when I get back. So I should be back around 9 p.m. Eastern time. So Jerry and I will record then. Jerry, is there anything else you want to add this episode?
No, I think we pretty much touched on everything. As far as what the team has done so far and leading up to this Commanders game. Last thing I'll say is what I said earlier. Like, dude, this is Steelers come out and get punched in the mouth, and the Commanders hang 30 on them, and it's like a 30-14, 30-20 type of game. You could sit there and say, well, hold on. Are we frauds? Are we frauds? But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen.
I would be shocked. Steelers coming off a bye week. I don't see them giving up 30 points. Even though this is the third best offense in football from a scoring standpoint, I would be absolutely – something went wrong. They give up 30 points. Something went really, really wrong, especially because they're healthy. So, no, I don't see that happening. I see quite the opposite. I think that they do come out, they beat the shit out of them. That's all the confidence that they need because while they're 6-2 and I'm sure they believe in themselves, you want a win like this. You want to beat a good team handily.
Oh, yeah.
It's what it would do for the morale and the confidence going into the second half. Like, yeah, we're big dogs, motherfucker. Come play. And that's how I think that they could look at this if they ultimately beat the shit out of them.
And you know who gives off that energy week in, week out? Deshaun Elliott.
Yep, that guy plays. He lets his nuts hang. That guy plays with a swagger. I love the way he plays football. I think he could be a guy that sets the tone. I'm hoping that maybe Minka gets one going. It'd be nice if Minka helps you cash your bet and he gets an interception.
I know. I'd love that, dude. I'd love that. Would love to see him get one. He needs one.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys. Continue to like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, take 1 second. Walk down there, hit the subscribe button on the Steel Here Podcast YouTube. Share it where you find it. We appreciate the shit out of you guys. We'll see you here Sunday night after the game.
All right. See you Sunday night.
Later, Jerry.
We're here. We're still here.
We are still here.